Abraham, who shall come out with great possessions. Now as for you, you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried at a good old age. So, Abraham is going to die and go with his fathers in peace. He wouldn't go through the Egyptian captivity. But in the fourth generation, after 400 years, they shall return, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet complete. So this is a prophecy that they go into 400 years of bondage, fulfilled in Egypt, but afterwards they would come out. And so then he says, in verse 17, and it came to pass when the sun went down and it was dark, and behold, there appeared a smoking oven and a burning torch that cast those pieces. And that's the Lord. He went through the pieces. Abraham was into a sleep. And on the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, to your descendants I have given this land from the river of Egypt to the great river of the Euphrates. So the covenant that God made with Abraham that would go through to his descendants, Isaac, Jacob, and actually the Jews today, was unconditional, because only God passed through the animal sacrifices. Now, we don't judge whether that was wise or fair. We're not the Lord. But he chose the people through which the Messiah would come through. And I quoted earlier, Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, through them, their seed would bless all the families of the earth, speaking of the Messiah. In Genesis 22, verse 18, Genesis 26, verse 4, and Genesis 28, verse 14, where you see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob all listed in that genealogy. So that's the kind of the nutshell. The Jews, certainly there's all kinds of, the Jews don't even believe in Jesus as a nation right now, but there will be a faithful remnant that will say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, and that's a mandate of Jesus' second coming, and that's in Matthew 24, and I'll give the exact passage. That was when he issued the scathing comments of the condition that the Israelis were in when he first came. And in verse 23, it is chapter 23, after calling them a brood of vipers and things like that, because that was a very wicked generation, he says, all these woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, and he says in Matthew 24, verses 37 through 39, O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the one who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her, how often I wanted to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. See, your house is left to you desolate. And then, of course, they ultimately got, Jerusalem got destroyed in 70 AD, shortly after Jesus' crucifixion. For I say to you, you shall see me no more till you say, referring to the nation of Israel, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So he laid out the gauntlet there for the nation of Israel, and certainly we knew they had their bad generations, but there would be a generation who would say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, and that will ultimately be what is called out for by the faithful remnant when the Antichrist in the Armageddon campaign is coming after them to commit final genocide of the Jews.
Do you see who the Antichrist is, or who it's supposed to be, where this is coming from? And let's talk about Damascus. We have this right up at the top. Is what's happening in Damascus? What do you believe is going to be happening?
Sure. Well, the first question regarding the Antichrist, his origin, it was told in Daniel 9. Let me get that real quick. Verses 24 through 27. Where he will come from. There's quite a bit spoken about the Antichrist. He's given different titles: the beast in Revelation 13, the man of lawlessness in 2 Thessalonians 2, the son of perdition in Revelation 17. Now he's been given all these different titles, but what's important is when you want to find out where he's coming from, it says in verse 26 and 27. After the 62 weeks, this is a prophecy, these are weeks of years, Messiah shall be cut off, and that happened when Jesus was crucified, but not for himself, because of course he died for the sins of humanity. And the people of the prince who is to come, that would be the Antichrist, who was to follow, come in the end time, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end of it shall be with the flood, and until the end of the war, desolations are determined. So what we believe there is being said is the Antichrist it's going to come out of the people that destroyed the city and the sanctuary. And the city would be Jerusalem, and the sanctuary would have been the second Jewish temple. And the next verse says, then he, meaning the Antichrist, shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. And we understand that would be Israel, because we understand in Isaiah 28, verses 15 and 18, a connecting passage with this covenant, that Israel is involved. So he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, a week of 7 years, so a 7-year covenant. But in the middle of the week, he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering. So what he'll do in the middle of the week is he'll go into the third Jewish temple, which they're wanting to build, they're prepared to build it, and he will do what's called the abomination of desolation. And Jesus actually warned the Jews living at the time in Matthew 24, verses 15, to see the abomination of desolation, this event, spoken by Daniel the prophet. He tells them to leave really quick, because that's when the genocidal campaign of the Antichrist takes hold. It'll be the final stage of the final genocide of the Jews. And why do they why have the Jews been so persecuted throughout so much time? Well, they are the covenanted people that I read, and they have a bullseye on their back. It's a spiritual war out there. Satan, he fell. He left his proper habitation. He got a lot of angels to follow him. And the way he tries to prove that he was justified in departing and not serving the Lord, and to get these angels to follow him, these fallen angels, the way he's going to prove that is to prove that God doesn't keep his promises, that he's got a flaw in his character. And on the theater of the earth, the way you do that is you attack the unconditional Abrahamic covenant. If God made a promise to Abraham that he would be a great nation, which requires descendants forever, and Genesis 22 tells us that he will have descendants forever, and it requires that a great nation has people, but also they have to have a land, a promised land, a chosen people in a promised land. And I quoted in Genesis 15:18 that there is a promised land given to Abraham. Then the way you can prove that the God who makes promises is flawed is you take away the land and you kill the people. Because if there's no people and there's no land, then that God is a fool for making such a commitment unconditionally. And that's why those attempts at genocide have always failed. And that's why the Jews are in the land again, although the world wants them to give up some land for peace. Now, but unfortunately for the Jews, there's 2 more big wars coming. One is in Psalm 83, which is an Arab-Israeli conflict with the Arab nations and terrorist populations that surround them, that will want to, it says they're going to come together, form crafty counsel against Israel to cut the nation off, that the name of Israel be remembered no more, and who they are. It'll be the Hezbollah in Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, the Palestinians, the Hamas, the Egyptians and the Saudis, probably include the Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda in there as well. I get into this in my book BillSalus1 and Revelation Road, available at prophecydepot.com. Now, that is war number 1. Israel will win that war, because I point out in those books how the Israeli Defense Forces exist today in fulfillment of Bible prophecy to defend the nation against Psalm 83. Then after that, you have a big Gog of Magog invasion in the 52 passages of Ezekiel 38 and 39, where Russia leads Iran, Turkey, Libya, Tunisia, probably the Sudan, Somalia, some other former breakaway Soviet republics in the Baltics, southern steppes of Russia areas, against Israel. And unlike the Psalm 83 war, which is coming to possess the pastures of God, it says in Psalm 83 verse 12, to take the Holy Land, to have another state called Palestine. The Russian invasion is different. They are coming for great plunder and great booty. Then lastly, you have an Armageddon campaign. The Antichrist tries to come and destroy the Jews once and for all. And Jesus warned about that in Matthew 24 verse 15. When you see the abomination of desolation in the temple by the Antichrist, then leave, quickly flee to the mountains, which would be, he was referring to southern Jordan mountains, ancient Mount Seir in Edom, which is now where Petra is. It's actually a tourist site for people to go in southern Jordan right now. So now Damascus is also in a prophecy that I think could be happening real soon. And so did I answer your question about the Antichrist fight? Now do you want to talk about Damascus?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the main clues in Damascus, and this is what's alarming right now, Clay, let's talk geopolitically for a moment, is that Damascus is in a serious revolution for the last 17 months. The Arab Spring really hit hard in Syria. It's burgeoned into a revolution that's deadly. As we speak, there's been over 20,000 Syrians that have died. In this revolution, there are thousands fleeing out of Syria on a daily basis into Jordan and into Turkey, and refugee camps are being established there for them. So you not only have Palestinian refugees and Kurdish refugees, you are now having a big influx of Syrian refugees, and you've got a struggle for sovereignty going on in Syria, because Syria is ruled by an Alawite regime, Bashar Assad. They're kind of a minority of the Syrian population, but they are a proxy of Iran, which is a Shiite Islamic state, versus a Sunni Islamic state, or Sunni Muslim. And so the Shiites want control of Syria. They also have control over the Hezbollah. And the Sunnis, which would be like Saudi Arabia, and 80% of the Muslims are Sunni, and 20% approximately are Shiite. And they all believe in the same 5 pillars of Islam. You know, that Muhammad is Allah is God, Muhammad is his prophet, and they need to pray 5 times a day and give alms and make a pilgrimage to Mecca. They all believe in that, but what they don't believe in is that the descendancy of after Muhammad, who should be really the Islamic leader, and the dividing point there is that the Shiites they believe that he should be. Actually, I have a note on that. It's been a while since I've taught on this. The Shia, bear with me, it's worth making this distinction, because a lot of people are don't understand why there's this big deal between Sunnis and Shias and things like that. The Sunnis believe that the position of the Caliph, or the Islamic leader, should be a position to which one is elected by the religious leaders of the Islamic community. So the Sunnis, which are often thought to be a little more moderate, but that's kind of a misnomer. There's still a lot of radicals that are Sunnis. But the Shiites, they believe the Caliph, or the elected Islamic leader, should be a direct descendant of Muhammad. So it's the difference of being elected, as the Sunnis would think, or a direct descendant. And so, anyway, there's a struggle for sovereignty, because the Free Syrian Army that is fighting against the Syrian army, the Bashar Assad's military, they are some true revolutionaries that really want change for Syria, but there are a bunch of other mercenaries and conscripts who are Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood fighting, and they are being funded by the Sunnis, like Saudi Arabia and Qatar. So it's a real battleground in Syria. It's a real bloodbath. And Bashar Assad is moving chemical weapons around. He's got cyanide, mustard gas, and sarin, and he's got probably one of the largest chemical...
What? I think I just lost you again here. Hold on a minute. Incredible here. Alright, we're trying to get back up here.
Yeah, I don't know where we get cut off.
Welcome to Talk Show. Please enter the call ID followed by the pound key. Enter your PIN followed by the pound key.
Alright.
You are now joining the call.
Okay, great.
Recorded live.
Alright.
You are unmuted.
Let me get one more station back up here. And hopefully over the weekend here we'll be able to get all the little kinks and bugs out of the computer system. But resetting up.
Are you going to be able to edit the ins and outs and stuff so it sounds continuous?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You know, there's we didn't make it on Blog Talk Radio, which is what I usually record on, but we will have it up on TalkShoe, and I'll get all that up here as soon as I get the time.
Send me a link, if you will, when you're done or something.
It'll be right up there at the top of my page, sir, freeamerican.com. Everything's right there. Everything will be right there before the end of the day, hopefully. And
freeamerican.com, okay?
freeamerican.com, yes, sir. But, you know, I'm still fairly uncomfortable with this whole Christian Zionist thing. I think that you know, it was Jews who killed Jesus, and I've read the Talmud. I've read passages out of the Talmud, and it's one of the most evil documents I've ever seen. And the way the Palestinians are treated by the Israelis, yeah, I think it's a travesty. And also, you know, and this comes from people that were in the know, that were Jewish, that said they started every war. They've started every you know, World War I, World War II, for this whole last century. So I'm a little uncomfortable with the state of Israel. I consider it a criminal state. You know, I mean,
and I'm sorry you feel that way, Clay. You know, we're both Christian brothers. I believe you believe in Jesus, correct?
Yes, sir.
Christian? Okay, so I'm, you know, sorry you feel that way. We're fortunately for us, you know, this is not what I call an irreducible minimum. An irreducible minimum is that God so loved the world, He sent Jesus to die for our sins, and whoever believes in Him shall not perish and have everlasting life. But the fact is, Jesus was a Jew, and He comes from a long history that we can understand in the Bible and things like that. The gospel is the gospel. But the problem Christians need to think about is that they're saved by faith, through grace. It's a gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. And that's in Ephesians 2, verses 8 and 9. And so I believe I am eternally secure, that I will not perish, I'll have everlasting life, because I believe Jesus died for my sins. That's the gospel. And of course He rose from the grave on the third day, which means He not only was a good guy, but He actually has power over death. So He is truly the Son of God, the only begotten Son of God. And so I believe that I'm going to go to heaven, because God made a promise through my faith. Because I believe in Jesus, He completed the work, He paid the full price for my salvation and your salvation, that I'll be going to heaven. And that's a gift of God through grace. A gift of the God who made a promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob unconditionally, that He would have descendants forever, that they would have a land, and now through them all the families would be blessed on the earth through their seed, the Messiah. And if He breaks a promise to Abraham, even though the Jews will be going in and out of belief in idolatry, and they did, of course, then I will never worship that God again, because I can't trust Him, because He breaks promises. And that's the point Satan is trying to prove to people. And that's why people don't understand the significance of Israel today. I think if you can get around Ezekiel 39 verse 7 and some other ones, then you might have an argument. But at this point, why would you worship a God that breaks promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? I just don't think that's advisable. There's a lot of other choices out there. There's Hinduism, there's Buddhism, there's Islam. Why would you stay faithful to a guy who you never met? I mean, you just went by faith in the first place. And you went around 2,000 years ago, you never saw him.
That's right.
Nobody's ever showed me any ID. Understand that their faith is conditioned, their salvation is conditioned upon God keeping His promises. And Satan's trying to prove that he doesn't keep His promises. He's trying to take away the land. He's trying to kill the Jews. And he's going to try it again. And that's just the way he's been trying to demonstrate that.
It seems to me...
We can still be brothers on this, but the thing is, I think the thing you need to watch for, though, is that these prophecies are going to happen. And Israel is going to survive them, but it's going to be very tough on them. Obadiah 1:18 and 1:19 is real critical for the Palestinians.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the way the Palestinians are being treated. Now, I've been in New York City, and I've dealt with Muslims, I've dealt with Jews, I've dealt with Christians in shops right there. They all got along together pretty well in New York. You know, why are the Palestinians being treated like second-class citizens? And why are the Jewish-controlled media and the Jewish-controlled banks Why are they trying to enslave the American people?
Well, again, those are your opinions, Clay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I've interviewed a few thousand people that agree with my opinion, sir.
Well, that's fine. I mean, there's Democrats and there's Republicans too.
Two wings of the same. In my opinion, that's two wings of the same bird. And they're working for the globalists. They're working for one world government. And the Jews, in the protocols of the elders of Zion, outlined their whole plan for a one world government under Lucifer. And but they don't want you to read that. Now, what about that? What about that?
Well, I think people really need to understand their roots if they're a Christian, what they're grafted into. We're told in Romans 9, 10, and 11 that God is not done with the Jew, and that we are grafted in. We're partakers of the blessings that God gave to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I think what Christians need to understand, and really, unless they can go above and tell me where I'm wrong on this, that when God laid out his foreign policy to everyone, it was 4,000 years ago when he told Abraham he would make him a great nation in Genesis 12, 2 and 3. And he said that he would bless those who bless you, referring to Abraham, and he would curse those who curse him. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. And I quoted on 2 occasions that passed on to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I quoted the scriptures on that in your show. But here's the point. God is going to bless those who bless Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their descendants, and God is going to curse those who curses them. And in the Hebrew it's strong, I must curse those who curse you. This is God's foreign policy established 4,000 years ago. It is still effectually intact. Even though the international community thinks God's done with the Jews, that the Jews are sinister, that they're disconnected from it, they rule the world, not paying attention to that. That doesn't mean God changed his mind, that he's going to bless those who bless them and curse those who curse them. Now, when you talk about the Palestinians and their Arab friends, they want the Hamas, for instance, they don't even recognize Israel's right to exist. They want to wipe them off the map. So does Syria. So does Iran. Palestinians really haven't been accepting peace deals, but, you could say, well, gee, the Jews haven't made enough concessions, Israelites haven't made, whatever. The point is, they're cursing Israel. And anyone who curses Israel comes under Genesis 12, verse 3. I must curse those who curse you. The bottom line is, when Israel became a nation in 1948...
Uh-oh, we lost it again here. Where'd we go? Did we lose it all? Call drop, yep.
Hello?
All right, we're
Welcome
trying
to talk show. Please enter the call ID followed by the pound key. Enter your PIN followed by...
All right, we got 5
You are
minutes
now
here.
joining the call.
Got 5 more minutes here.
Live.
And my guest
You are unmuted.
is BillSalus. And give me the name of your book. Tell people where they can get it again.
So I've got a book out just recently came out called Revelation Road, and it's Clay. Thanks for this. It's an interesting book, a unique reading experience. It combines a novel with an extensive biblical commentary. Some people like to read novels. Some people like to read nonfiction and biblical commentaries. The novel is 120 pages. It's a short read. It's a good read. And it's only the grandfather that's concerned his grandson has been birthed. And
All right, Bill, I think we've lost it again. But thank you for being with me today. And folks, we're trying to get everything worked out. And see, did we get it? Let's see. Hung up. Okay, hang on a minute. We get it back.
Welcome to Talk Show. Enter your PIN followed by the pound. Your PIN was not recognized. You are now joining the call.
Did I get you back? No.
Oh, shoot.
Recorded live.
You are unmuted.
All right. All right,
Well,
yeah, it keeps
we're gonna make it.
it keeps dropping, but I got it all here, and I can do this here. I will get this recorded, and
Well, just let them know, you know, when you end it out from your end.
Completed.
okay.
So just let them know from your end, you know, that that was, you know, BillSalus and his website's Prophecy Depot, D-E-P-O-T, you know, HomeDepot.com. That way they'll know, because I kind of got cut off there, but you can say that.
I've also got you linked on the show, and I really appreciate you being on the being on my show.
They hear both sides. You know, I know some people feel the way you do, and the Christian Zionists feel the way I do. And I think we need to, as Christian brothers, we need to put that out there and let people do their own homework. But, you know, things are going to explode in the Middle East, and Israel is going to survive, and that also will be a lesson to people to say, gee, you know, they just keep on kicking. They just keep on kicking. What's up there? Well, it's the David and Goliath story there, you know, and God's got plans for them.
All right.
It doesn't mean they're right. It doesn't mean they're right now, but they will have a faithful remnant that come out of that crew over there.
All right, sir. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your opinion. You know, you've certainly done the research, and you know, it would be nice if you were right and they weren't the evil suckers I think they are.
Well, okay. Well, you know, and my books will tell you that. I mean, I think the homework is really well done in that. So maybe your listeners will get their hands on them.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Clay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Alright guys, I'm out of here, and sorry about the delays. We'll see if we can get the computers tuned up and running properly.
Of your motion